The wrench slipped from my hand and hit the garage floor with a sharp metallic clang that seemed to echo straight through my chest. I froze, my breath caught somewhere between disbelief and anger. Through the thin wall separating the garage from the kitchen, I could hear my daughter's voice. Ellie, 17, loud, confident, and cruel in that careless teenage way. God, Mom, I can't believe you've put up with him for so long. He's such a loser. At least now you're finally getting what you deserve. Her words landed harder than the wrench. I stood there beneath the hood of Mrs. Patterson's Buick, my hands slick with grease and shaking. 22 years I'd been fixing cars in this Rust Belt town of Milltown. 22 years of hard work and oil-stained fingernails, of keeping engines alive when everyone else had already given up on them. My name's Jake Morrison, and for the last 2 decades, that name used to mean something here. Used to. Stephanie, my wife, my high school sweetheart, had been my reason for every long day and sore back. Back when we were young, she said she loved how my hands looked strong and honest. Somewhere along the line, honest stopped being enough. Now she worked as a paralegal at Henderson and Associates, the kind of law firm that had prestige printed on its business cards. Meanwhile, I still smelled like motor oil and sweat. "Keep your voice down," Stephanie said through the wall. "Calm, controlled. Not worried, just careful. The kind of caution that comes from living a lie." I wiped my hands and moved quietly toward the door. "Why? He's probably too busy playing with his toys to notice anything," Ellie laughed. "Besides, everyone already knows about you and Brad. Jenny's mom saw you two at that hotel last Friday." The words hit me like a socket winch to the gut. Brad Hoffman, real estate golden boy. Shiny car, shinier smile. The guy who once brought his BMW to my shop, then never came back because it was too greasy for his taste. Jenny's mom saw them at a hotel? I leaned against the wall, my pulse hammering. I didn't need to hear more. The late nights, the new clothes, the phone calls that always ended when I walked in, all of it finally made sense. By the time Stephanie's car left the driveway that evening, I'd made up my mind. I was done wondering. I was going to find the truth, no matter how ugly it was. 3 days later, I sat in my buddy Gordy's boxing gym, watching him pummel a heavy bag. Gordy had been my best friend since high school, busted nose, crooked grin, heart of gold. "So your wife's stepping out on ya," he said between punches. "You sure you want to dig into it? Sometimes it's better not to know." "Too late," I said. "I already know. Now I need proof." He sighed, grabbed a towel, and sat beside me. "What do you need?" "A camera," I said. "Something small." He looked at me for a long moment. "You're serious. Dead serious." That Friday, I parked across from the Milltown Motor Lodge. Cheap, discreet, perfect for cheaters. Room 237. I'd already planted a camera disguised as a smoke detector. At 7:30, Stephanie's Honda rolled in. She checked her makeup in the mirror, then walked toward the room. 10 minutes later, Brad arrived. They kissed in the doorway, long, passionate, careless. That was all I needed. I picked up my phone, called the local flower shop, and ordered champagne and chocolates for room 237. "Include a card," I said. "Smile, you're live on camera." Watching Brad's face when he read that card was almost worth the heartbreak. I didn't stop there. I sent a group message to our family chat. Stephanie, her parents, Ellie, and me. One link, one line. "Thought you might find this interesting." The fallout was instant. Calls, messages, panic. Stephanie didn't come home that night. When she finally showed up the next day, she looked wrecked. "We need to talk," she said. "I think we already have," I said, calm as stone. Tears, excuses, the same old lines. I'd heard them all before. "I never meant for this to happen. It didn't mean anything." But it meant everything. It meant our life was a lie. I want a divorce, I told her. That was when the mask dropped. The tears vanished, replaced by cold calculation. You think you can destroy me? You're a mechanic, Jake. You don't have the money or the power. I do. She said the name Tina Martinez like it was a weapon. I remembered that name, but not from courtrooms. She used to be Tina Kowalski, my old business partner, the one who'd robbed me blind and left me bankrupt 15 years ago. Now she was a divorce lawyer. Perfect. The next morning, the papers arrived, served cold and cruel. She wanted half of everything, even the garage, even my truck, and emotional damages for public humiliation. That's when I decided to stop being the victim. Within a week, I dismantled Brad Hoffman's perfect little life. His BMW became a rolling confession, spray-painted with words like cheater and homewrecker. His neighbors got anonymous letters with copies of his motel receipts. His boss got a manila envelope marked urgent. By Thursday, he was unemployed. By Friday, under investigation for company credit card fraud. Stephanie's lawyer, Tina, called me the next day. "You've gone too far," she hissed. "Funny," I said. "That's what people usually say right before I prove them wrong." But Tina wasn't angry just for her client. She was angry because she was in on it. I did some digging. Turned out she and Brad had their own little side arrangement. Adultery, fraud, and professional misconduct, all neatly documented. The town's annual block party seemed like a good place to share the news. When I walked up to the microphone, people actually smiled, thinking I was about to make a nice speech. I thanked the mayor, thanked the community. Then I turned towards Stephanie, Brad, and Tina sitting together like a trio of bad actors in a cheap play. "I'd like to clear something up," I said. "See, my wife didn't just cheat on me with Mr. Hoffman. They used company money to fund their little adventures. And the lawyer handling her divorce? She's been having her own affair with the same man." The park went silent, then erupted. Tina screamed. Brad turned pale. Stephanie looked like she might collapse. I let the crowd feast on it for a moment, then said, "You all turned your backs on me because you thought I was the bad guy. Maybe I am, but at least I'm honest about it." I walked off while the chaos unfolded behind me. A few days later, the town started crawling back. Old customers, old friends, all apologizing. I didn't take a single one of them back. Fair weather friends weren't worth the grease under my nails. Stephanie lost everything. The prenup held, and her affair voided any claim to alimony. Brad was convicted of fraud and fined. Tina was disbarred. I kept the house, the garage, and my daughter. Ellie came home for good, ashamed of the words she'd once said. People in town still avoid me, but not out of pity anymore, out of respect, and maybe fear. I sit in my garage most nights, beer in hand, engine humming under the light. I'm still Jake Morrison, the mechanic, but now they know better than to cross me. Because sometimes the only way to win is to stop pretending to be the good guy. Sometimes the villain is just the man who finally stopped being fooled.